Hello, and welcome to another lawnfawn video. It's Kelly here, and today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new die set, Terrific Tulips. We're also going to be introducing our brand new set, Flower Bouquet Wrap, and it makes this gorgeous bouquet wrap that you can add all different flowers in. And then we're also going to take a look at our brand new Scripty Mom outline add-on. Scripty Mom is an older favorite die, and now we have this cool outline add-on base, and we'll show you how that works in just a little bit. But first up, we're going to take a look at Terrific Tulips. It has two stems pointing in two different directions, two leaves, and then it has two different styles of tulips. So we have this style here, and then we have this more rounded style here. And so we're going to show you how to layer these all together. First up, we're going to take a look at the more pointy style of tulip. You'll see there's one piece that looks like a teardrop. That's the center of the tulip. Then the other two petals go on the left and the right. So we've added some adhesive there to one of them, and we're going to add some adhesive to the other and then layer them onto that center piece. What's really neat about this is that you can make a more closed tulip, a more open tulip, depending on the look you're going for, or even if you had a big bouquet, you could have different styles of tulips just by how you layer the petals. Then we're going to add some adhesive to the back of the tulip, and we can layer that right onto the stem, and you can see just how beautiful and gorgeous that looks. Then next, we're going to work with a more rounded style of tulip, and this is the same way. We have the one that's a little bit more of like a teardrop type shape. That's going to go in the center, and then the ones with a little bit more of a point are going to go on the outside, and I think this is so gorgeous. Both of these are so pretty, and they have such a stunning stitch detail, and just like the other tulip, you can layer the petals in more closely or out more depending on the look that you're going for. And then just like the other tulip, we can just add some adhesive on the back and layer that right onto our stem. Next, we can add the leaves onto the stems, and this really makes the tulips for me. Of course, you could layer multiple leaves on each of the stems or just one, whatever look you're going for. In this case, we're just going to layer one on each of these tulips, and you can see just how stunning these tulips look. They look so pretty out of pattern papers, out of different pastels. Oh my gosh, they are just so much fun. Now next up, we're going to take a look at our flower bouquet wrap, which has these two pieces that you layer to create the flower bouquet wrap. And then we have this gorgeous bow, which I love using on the bouquet wrap, but also I love using on its own as well. And so to put this together, all you need to do is just layer the more pointed piece onto the piece that has kind of that round scalloped edge. I like doing these in two different pattern papers or two different shades of cardstock so that the back piece looks a little bit darker and the front piece looks a little bit lighter. And you can see that it has this cut line there so that you can tuck your flowers inside. Then here we have this little bow. You can add some adhesive to that little square there and then layer the bow piece right on top. And then we have this little bow center piece as well that you can add to the center so that it looks like you tied a bow and there's kind of like the little knot in the center. I just think this bow is so pretty, and you can layer that right onto the bouquet. We'll show you this a little bit later in the video, but this is a cute place to put actual ribbon or twine around this little bouquet wrap as well. And one of the things that I love about this bouquet wrap is, one, it looks absolutely gorgeous with the brand new tulips, which you're going to see here, but it also looks amazing with any of our different flower dyes. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you an example mixing and matching a ton of different flowers. So whatever flower dyes that you may have in your stash, they are going to look absolutely gorgeous in this little bouquet wrap. It really looks like you went to the farmer's market and bought the perfect bouquet. I think it's so pretty. And here you can see it with the tulips. And then of course you can take those little leafy pieces and layer those in, and by layering in the greenery all around, it makes the bouquet feel so special. Next up, we have the Scripty Mom outline add-on. We've been coming out with these outline add-ons for previous favorite Scripty words, and I think it just gives the Scripty word a whole new fun look. So the previous one is the Scripty Mom, and this brand new one is this Scripty Mom outline add-on. You can see that the die creates a little embossed detail for you that shows you exactly where that mom is going to layer over top. And this mom is so pretty and so perfect for Mother's Day. And next up, Shari is going to create an absolutely gorgeous card using the tulips with the Scripty Mom. And then we're going to do some fun things with the bouquet wrap. So take it away, Shari.
So let's use the Terrific Tulips to create a Mother's Day card. I'm cut out my stems from algae cardstock, my leaves in the center from green spiffy speckles, and then for the petals of my tulips, I'm cutting these from spiffier speckles paper that has that really fun gold foil detail on it. I am going to add some inking to these to give them some nice dimension. So for the leaves, I'm starting with celery stick and just inking up the bottom of the leaf and up the curve a little bit. I'll do the same for the petals of my tulips. I have two colors of tulips here. I have this kind of peachy color. For that one, I'll be using some peachy keen ink, and I only need to dust the bottoms of the two petals that go on top. That petal that is in the center, it's kind of in the back, and any inking I do on that will really get covered up by these two that layer on top. For the more pink tulips here, I'm using some guava ink. And just like the peachy colored tulips, I'm only inking the two petals that will be layered on top. I am making sure that I'm inking the bottom and then the outside edge of the petals. So you can see there when I put them up there beside each other, I inked one on the right and one on the left, depending on which side of the tulip it would be on. Now I can assemble my tulips. I did clean my work surface so that all that ink is gone. I just add some liquid glue to that big part at the top of the stem, and I'm going to add that centerpiece. Then I will add some liquid glue and layer over the left petal and then the right petal. And you could adjust this to how open you want these tulips to be or how close you want them to be and get some different looks. So I will repeat that process for this peachy colored one. So I have two tulips that kind of tilt towards the left side and one tulip that tilts towards the right. And this will allow me to make a really nice arrangement on my card. Once I have all of these tulips assembled, I will just set them aside and we will grab them later when we start to assemble our bouquet on the card. For the sentiment, I'm using the new Scripty Mom outline add-on with the Scripty Mom die. I cut Scripty Mom from some white pixie dust sparkle cardstock, and I'm layering it over the outline. The outline is cut from that same sort of peachy color of the spiffier speckles paper, and this will match my tulips perfectly. I'm also using papers from the new Bitsy Blooms collection. I will be using this beautiful rainbow hatching for my window of my card. I'm using the largest of the outside in stitched rectangles to cut that out. But at the same time, I'm going to run through that arched opening, that arched window from the Secret Garden window die. So I won't be using the garden with the flowers. I just set that aside, but I am using the window. And I'm just lining this up in the center and we'll hold it in place with a little bit of low tack tape. And then I can cut this whole panel all at once. I am going to be popping this up with foam, so before I do that, I want to make sure that any stamping I want to do on this panel is done, and I am going to go ahead and glue my Scripty Mom right to the bottom of the window. So part of it is on the panel, and then part pops up above the bottom of the window. And then I need to complete my sentiment, and I am using the Tree Cart Sentiment add-on Smoothies and Juice because there are stamps in here that just say you're the best so that my sentiment can say mom you're the best. I'll be stamping this in some narwhal ink so it is a little bit softer. And now I can start to assemble my card with the foam. I have a piece of teal colored spiffy speckles paper. That is my background. I need to put this onto a card base, which I had not done just yet. So I'm going to set my panel aside with the foam and add this to a card base. Then I can add my panel with the window. And since I used that outside and stitch rectangle, I get that spiffy speckles on the outside edge too. Now I'm arranging my tulips where I want them to be. For this one, I'm going to put it up high. Each of these tulips will come out of the window and kind of overlap the outside edge. So I'm using some foam squares along the bottom of each tulip and some liquid glue along the top, and then some liquid glue on the bottom of the stem to hold that in place. Then I can take my leaves and just kind of tuck those behind that Scripty Mom sentiment. As I work around, this tulip will need to be a little bit shorter, so I'm going to trim off that stem, but I'm putting all my adhesive in the same place. So some foam squares along the bottom where it's in the window, a little bit of liquid glue where it pops out of the window, and some liquid glue on the bottom of the stem. Moving on to my third tulip here, I'm going to trim that down and do the same thing. And then this one, I'm going to have to trim my leaves a little bit, so you'll see that in just a moment. Once I get this in place, I want some shorter leaves around this one, so I'll just trim that off so it can tuck down in there behind that Scripty mom and the window. And then I have that one last leaf to add in there. This gives it some nice dimension because this flower looks like it's in front of those leaves and that flower in the back. And then finally, I have some final embellishments with some little hearts cut with the Hearts and Stars Skinny Tag die cut from Guava Cardstock. And I'll just sprinkle those around my card. They look like the love and the hearts are kind of floating up from the flowers, which I think is really fun, especially overlapping the leaves and up here out of the window. And then here's my finished card with those beautiful spiffier speckles tulips. I also love the Scripty Mom outline. I just think it's so fun, and I love that window as well. So I'm going to be creating a tulip bouquet today with the Terrific Tulips. I've already cut them out of some Spiffy Speckles paper, but I'm also going to use the new flower bouquet wrap. I thought it would be fun to make this bouquet wrap much more decorative, so I'll be using some patterned paper to cut it out. For the inside part, I'm using some bitsy blooms with this light yellow. And then for the outside, I wanted it a bit brighter, so I'll be using some fruit salad with that yellow gingham. These two yellows work great together. Since one of my patterns is on the diagonal and the other is not, I want to make sure that they match. So I'll be cutting the gingham on the diagonal for the outside piece of the bouquet wrap. And then for the inside, I will cut this straight up and down because this one is already printed on the diagonal. This way, when we layer the two pieces together like this, it looks like it's all one pattern, but you have a darker pattern on the outside and a lighter pattern on the inside. So I'm just adding my liquid glue and lining the top of this outside piece up with that slit that the die creates, and this is where we're going to tuck our flowers. For my tulips, I've cut out the petals for the style with the stitching detail around all the sides. I've cut these from some purple spiffy speckles paper, so it has those speckles on it, but I'm also adding some grape jelly inking to my pieces. I'm going to add even more inking to this center piece. I want to pull it all the way up, so I'm going to check to make sure, and you can't really see it there, so I want to add a little more darkness to it. I just wanted to create the look of a shadow as the petals overlap each other. And then I will do the same thing to the other set of petals for my second tulip. For the stems, I have two stems cut from algae cardstock, one going in each direction. And I will just layer over the center piece of the tulip first onto that bulb-shaped piece at the top, and then I can layer my outer petals. And we get this really cute purple tulip. I like using the liquid glue because you can kind of adjust the petals around and get it as open or as closed as you want your flower to be. And I will just do the same to the second one here. And now I have two tulips, both of them bending in a different direction, which will make a really cute bouquet. Now I am making a mini slimline card today. This bouquet is nice and tall, and I thought this would be a fun way to fill a card. So I'm pulling out the stitched rectangles in the mini slimline size. I've cut the largest one from white, and then I will cut the next one down from that pretty daisy paper from the Bitsy Blooms collection. And this will give me a nice little thin white border around my pattern paper. So I will just layer these two pieces together. It fits right inside that stitching line. And then I can put this on to a mini slimline card base, which is 3 inches by 6 inches. And this one is a top folding card base. I like to make these out of a 12 by 12 sheet of paper because you can make 4 top folding mini slimline cards from one of those. Now to move on to my bouquet. So I'm just going to pop my flowers in here. I'm going to make sure that they're kind of to the right side because my idea is to add the sentiment on a card just like it would be tucked into the bouquet that you receive. So I'm going to work on where I want these pieces to go and just use some liquid glue to kind of tack them in place. So I'll put a leaf over here on the left side. I am going to go ahead and glue my tulips down. And then I will glue the stems on the back side. But I will tell you right now, I kind of ended up moving one of them, but that's okay because my liquid glue was not quite dry yet. So you can see here I pulled that one off and I'm tucking a leaf behind it. And then I actually decided it would be kind of nice if this one was sort of popped up so it looked like it was in the front. So I'm actually going to add 2 little foam squares and just pop up the tulip that is in the foreground. Then I have one more leaf I can add to kind of fill in. I'm going to tuck it way down in there. And this really makes it look like a nice full bouquet. And I'm just tacking them on the back as well where they go through that slit. And you can see how this is going to really fill up this mini slimline card nicely. Now there is a bow in the die set, but I thought it would be fun to add some texture with some twine. So I've pulled out my coral twine and going to cut off a nice long length of that. I did initially wrap this around and tie a bow, but I decided a double bow would be better. So I'm going to fold my twine in half and give myself 2 lengths of twine, wrap that around, and then tie my bow. And this just gives me a bit more of a heftier bow because it is 2 pieces of twine. And I think this looks like a bouquet that you would go pick up at a farmer's market somewhere, tied up with some beautiful twine. And I'll just trim off the ends of my tails to the length that I want. And now my bouquet is ready to go. As I said before, for my sentiment, I wanted to make a card. So I'm using the spring basket and the spring basket birthday add-on to stamp happy birthday in some purple ink on a little scrap of pink cardstock. This is going to be my card that is inside my bouquet. So I'll pull out my scoreboard here and just score a line right above the word happy so that I can fold it like we would our greeting cards. And then I'll just trim off right along the edge of the front of the card. And now I have this tiny, tiny little greeting card. This is going to tuck right into my bouquet. This would be fun to write a sentiment in if you wanted to. I'm actually just going to stamp a few little hearts inside of it, but it would be fun to add a small sentiment inside for your recipient. Before I stick that on there though, I'm going to add my bouquet to my card with some foam so it's nice and popped up. It has that really fun dimension. And I'm going to add one more behind this tulip here to help support it. That one is double popped because we popped up the tulip in the bouquet. And then for my card, I'm adding those little hearts. This little heart stamp is in the spring basket stamp set. I'm just stamping those in some guava ink. And like I said, you could add a little sentiment in here if you wanted, like happy birthday to my best friend, to my sweetheart, whatever you wanted to do. And I'm just going to glue this directly into my bouquet. I'm kind of tucking it behind that stem so it looks like it's in there. And I'm just holding it in place till that glue sets. And I wanted some more pops of that pink, so I have some little hearts cut with the Hearts and Stars Skinny Tag die out of Guava Cardstock, and I will just add those around as a little bit of embellishment. You could also add glitter, but I actually didn't add glitter this time. I know you were all shocked. But here's that bouquet with that cute little card, and I just think this turned out so sweet and would make anybody's birthday happy.
Oh my goodness, Shari, this card is so cute. I love the bouquet wrap out of the pattern paper and the cute little card within a card. Oh my gosh, it's just adorable. And then this card with the tulips and the Scripty mom is so beautiful. I can't wait to make one just like it. And so now we're going to show you how a bunch of different favorite lawnfawn flowers fit perfectly inside of the flower bouquet wrap. And so here I'm taking out my personal favorite flower, which is the sunflower, and I'm die cutting the stems out of some algae cardstock. I've got the sunflower petals out of sunflower cardstock, and then the centers out of some chocolate bar cardstock. And then to add a little bit of detail, I am just taking a marker here. This is a Y17 marker, and I'm just adding a little bit of marker toward the end of all of the petals, just to give them a little bit of an extra detail. I love doing this with colors of cardstock because I don't need to color the whole thing in with a marker. I can just add a little bit of a detail there, and it ends up looking so pretty and really makes the flowers pop, and it's so easy to do too. Now we can work on assembling the flowers. So I'm just going to add some adhesive to the center, and I'm going to layer these and just kind of stagger all of the petals, and then I can layer the center piece inside. And of course, I'll repeat the same thing with the other sunflower. Then I'm just taking my fingers and kind of curling the ends of the paper to give the petals a little bit of a more dynamic look, and I think it looks really pretty. Then I'll add some adhesive to the top of those stems, and then I can layer my sunflowers right onto the stems, and they're ready to put inside of my flower bouquet wrap. And so here I have that flower bouquet wrap die, and I'm going to die cut it out of some kraft cardstock. And I really like this look because it looks like that brown kind of butcher paper that they wrap flowers with at the farmer's market. So I thought it'd be really fun to do that. So we're just going to die cut both of the pieces here out of some kraft cardstock, and then I can just add some adhesive to the back of the piece that has the handle, and then layer that onto the piece that has that pretty scallop. And then all you need to do is just tuck the flowers into the wrap. And I love doing this because I feel like I'm making my own flower arrangement. Now these stems are a bit long, and all I need to do is just take my scissors and just trim off any of that excess. I always like to add the flowers in first and then just trim off whatever's hanging out the end. Now I wanted to shop my stash and look for a bunch of flowers to complement these sunflowers. And so I like putting all of my flowers on one big magnet sheet so I can kind of see them all at once and pick and choose. And here I decided to do the lily of the valley. So I've die cut that out of some algae cardstock for the stems, and then some white shimmer cardstock for the little flowers. And I'm going to add liquid glue onto the little centers on the stems, and then we can just layer our flowers right on top of that glue. And these turn out so beautiful. There's something about the lily of the valley that's just like so whimsical and magical, and it's going to be perfect for my little bouquet. And then I can take those lily of the valley and tuck them into the bouquet. And this really felt like I was flower arranging. It's just so much fun. I decided to create what would be my perfect bouquet. So this is a really fun way to create bouquets is you could look through your stash, either find the recipient's favorite flower or pick out what you think would make the most gorgeous bouquet in real life and just pick and choose. And so here I have a bunch of different sets with greenery. This one here comes from our happy mushrooms. This is some greenery that's actually from like a little Christmas wreath. I'm just picking out lots of cute little leaves. I also picked some out from our plant-a-succulent die. Once again, this is kind of like a shop your stash moment. Look for any little greeneries or little kind of grassy pieces, and we're going to tuck those into our arrangement. Now, as I was adding all my little greenery pieces, I realized I wanted some pops of color on here. So I decided to shop my stash again and look for little flowers that I could add to this. And so I picked some things from the darling daffodils, I picked something from our plant-a-succulent set, and I even picked some flowers out of our floral backdrop. So there's so many cute and fun places that you can look for little flower centers or little flower pieces to layer on and add into your arrangements. And as I was creating this bouquet, my favorite crafty helper, my 4-year-old son Miles, came in and he really wanted to share his favorite number blocks toys with you guys. So here he is.
These are number blocks. And we put these together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up. And then we made 36.
That's so cute, babe. You did so good. And after we played with our number blocks, we decided to add some color to these flowers. And so here I'm picking out some peachy colors. These are some really light YR markers to color in this little kind of, it's a succulent tulip kind of looking piece. And then this is the center of the darling daffodils. And I am using some R30 markers here to create kind of this pretty peachy pink color. I really wanted there to be some kind of peachy pink colors to give a nice pop to this bouquet. Now this little guy has this kind of like little cut line there in the middle, so I'm just going to tuck a piece of paper in so that I can add a little bit of shadow right at the cut line, and this will protect the rest of the flower from my darker marker, and then I can just blend that out, and look how pretty that looks. Oh, I just love it. And so I added a little bit more detail, and now we're going to do the same thing on the other flowers. So for this next flower I used some RV markers, and I just kind of added one color towards the center and then just kept blending it out towards the outside of the petals. And then for the last one I used a really pretty kind of bright neon-y yellow, and then we colored in the flower center with some brown markers. And then I just added a little drop of glue and then put the flower center right in the middle, and this flower is looking so cute. Now for the base of our card, we're going to be using one of my favorite pattern papers, which is this Yeti paper. It's a spiffy or speckles paper that has this gorgeous gold foil. And I'm going to die cut that with the largest of the large stitch rectangles, which is the 5.5 by 4.25 inch size. And now I'll have this beautiful stitch detail. And then now I can start to layer everything in my arrangement. So before I was just kind of laying everything to really decide what I needed to add. Now to add everything, what I'm doing is adding a bunch of tape runner to the back of my flower bouquet wrap and also to the back of my flowers. And that's going to help hold everything in place. And then I can start to tuck the flowers in and really feel like I am like a floral artist. I had such a blast with this. It just feels like so much fun to play with these little paper flowers. And just like you would with real flowers, you can trim the stems down to get them to be at different heights so that you can really fill in your bouquet. And then by adding the greenery, it's really going to fill the areas around the flowers and make it feel like a really full bouquet. Then once I added all the greenery in, I was able to start layering in all of my colorful flowers. And as I did this, I feel like the bouquet really came to life. Those pops of pink are just so pretty. Oh, I just love it. And so I'm just going to layer some of these over the sunflowers and then kind of over the ends of those greenery and then just to kind of fill in that bouquet wrap. And then here I'm going to take the bow from the bouquet wrap, and just like we did with the flowers there that we added marker to, I wanted to do the same detail for the bow. And I picked those R30 markers that I used on that like daffodil centerpiece so that it would kind of bring in some of the colors from the bouquet and have everything match. And so towards the center of the bow, I added my darkest marker, and then I'm blending it out with medium and then out into light. And then I'll just repeat the same thing for the bow ends. So I'm going to have the darkest there at the top, then I'll blend with my medium, and then bring in my lightest marker. And I was really kind of scribbly with these. I wasn't doing anything fancy, and it ended up looking so pretty. Now I can add some liquid glue there to the top of the bow. There's kind of like a little rounded square that layers behind perfectly the knot of the bow. And then I'm just going to add some more liquid glue to the back of the bow, and I can add that right onto the bouquet wrap so that it was look like it was tied with this like perfect, beautiful ribbon. Now I'm going to add some tape runner just to the back of this whole thing and then layer that onto this beautiful gold foil speckled paper. Now it's time to work on the sentiment, and so I'm going to take out one of these fancy banners and I'm going to die cut this from some Guava Cardstock. And to create the perfect sentiments, I'm actually going to mix and match two of my favorite Henry's Build-A-Sentiment set. So I'm going to use the Love set and then also the Bunny Puns. And I love that you can mix and match any of the Henry sets together. And so here you can see how we're going to pick and choose those. So we have the You Are So from the Love set and then Special to Me from the Bunny Pun set. So I love that you can mix and match these. It's so great. And so we curve these onto the block. We're going to stamp in some clear embossing ink, which is a nice sticky ink. And then we can sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder and just tap off any of the excess. And then we can heat it up with our heat tool to have this beautiful, nice, bright, white, shiny sentiment. Then for this whole piece, I'm going to add some foam squares to the back to give it a nice pop over the bouquet. And then we can just layer that right on top. And I think this just looks so pretty. It's such a beautiful sentiment. And of course, for a bouquet, you could change it to anything. It could be Mother's Day, thinking of you, happy birthday. I just love it. And here we have a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. We can layer the whole thing on top. And now this card is all done. And oh my goodness, I just had such a blast creating this. I am getting so excited thinking about seeing all of your beautiful bouquets that you're going to make in this wrap. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this card here by Audrey, I mean, it just blew me away. These beautiful tulips with the white behind it, those white stripes. Oh, I just love it. I can't wait to make one just like it. This card here by Elena is so gorgeous. The colors she used are beautiful, and I love how she combined the tulips with the lily of the valley and the Scripty mom. Here, Megan shows us that the tulip is a perfect match for our cute little How You Bean mason jar. I love that you could add these tulips to anything. This huge bouquet by Maureen is so beautiful. I love how she layered so many beautiful tulips in gorgeous colors. And then this one by Tammy is so pretty. I love the soft colors and the inking that she added to all of the different tulips. Mindy shows us that the tulips are a perfect match for our pocket die, and this is such a beautiful Easter card. And then this card here by Grace is so cute, and I love that she has our brand new Build-A-Bunny holding onto the bouquet. Isn't that adorable? This card here is so beautiful. I love how she wrapped the tulips up in the bow instead of using the wrap. It's so pretty. And then this card here by Lynette is just gorgeous. I love these soft colors for springtime. This card here by Elise is so pretty, and I love how she layered the Scripty mom over the bouquet, and the colors she used are just so pretty. And then this card here was so much fun to make. I love the bouquet at an angle and the cute Happy Mother's Day sentiment. And then I love this cute little Scripty mom bag that Melissa made. This is a perfect way to add a cute little treat for mom on Mother's Day. So we cannot wait to see all of your bouquets, all of your tulip cards, and all of your Mother's Day cards. So make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye.